And we're back live once again here on NFL Daily with weeks to go until the 2024 NFL Draft. I am Tom Downey. Producer Chris, once again behind the scenes on today's show. We will spend, no surprise, a good amount of today's show on the NFL Draft. As silly season, smokescreen season, lying season, whatever you want to call it, truly is at its peak right now. I'm going to call it propaganda season. Because some propaganda is true, some of it's not. Pick a quarterback. Assuming Caleb Williams goes number 1, who do you think should be that number 2 quarterback taken? DM for Drake Maye, JJ for JJ McCarthy, JD for Jayden Daniels. You can get those votes in the comment section. And also vote in the pinned poll of today's video. 43% say Daniels. 44% say Daniels, 33% say Drake Maye, 24% say JJ McCarthy. So about the order I suspected it would be in, having done a bunch of these live shows with the quarterbacks here in the past. Shelly, Mark, and Nick all say Drake Maye. Antonio says JD for Jayden Daniels as well. So interesting differences there in the polls and the comments. Not everyone votes in the poll. Not everyone votes in the comment section. You should do each of those, however. DM for Drake Maye, JJ for JJ McCarthy, JD for Jayden Daniels. Hank S. doing JD. Jalen Prescott going JD. Chet has JJ. Bears Prods has DM. So we got at least one person represented across the board. Early results in that pin poll changing, by the way, getting a little bit more tightly compacted. 41% say Jayden Daniels. JJ McCarthy for 28%. Drake Maye says 31%. Papichulo sits. How much time daily do you spend scouting? Ooh, it's a good question. Depends on the day. This time of the year, despite what my wife feels about it, I tend to get home from work and, give or take time of day, do a little bit then. Olivia's down around 8 p.m. and then until about midnight most nights. Fridays, Saturdays, the occasional hour or two actually during work. But, beyond that, it's kind of getting the broad stroke down of as many prospects as humanly possible. There are plenty who do deeper dives than I do, especially on fewer prospects. But the goal was to have the 300 good to go. And then, like combine, week is a little bit different because it's kind of like all of it. And then, I'll get a day or two off during this time of the year. And it's like, hey, doing 12 hours straight. And it's just kind of how the day goes. So my wife would say too many hours. I would say I wish I could spend even more time on it. So good question, though. Poppy Chulo sits. Appreciate the $2 super chat, my friend. Speaking of the draft, who is your favorite 2024 NFL draft prospect? No wrong answers. It's just favorite. So even if you think the guy ends up being a bust, it's okay. Everyone misses. Everyone gets it wrong. Who is your favorite NFL draft prospect? Marvin Harrison Jr. for Nick Powell. He's my number one guy. In general, I think we need to be careful around this time of the year because it is very easy to fall into the I'm going to overthink it angle. Guys who have been good for a while, sometimes it's the new flair that gets us more intrigued because they took the step forward in every case. It's like, ooh, well, that shows progress, even though maybe the other guy was already really good. Caleb Williams, Brock Bowers for the Jets, Brock Bowers for the Bengals. That makes sense. Fuaga, good player. Speaking of someone I think might end up being a Jet. Quinyon Mitchell, good name there. That's the cornerback from Toledo. Javon Bullard, Troy Franklin, Georgia safety, Oregon receiver. Blake Corum out of Michigan, the running back. Devondre Sweat, DT out of Texas. Drake Maye. Hank S. says, I assume you mean Amarius Mims. I'm going to risk it all for Amarius Mims, which I got to go back and look. Pretty sure my risk it all hits have not been very good because they're always they're always gamble players. I got to go back. I think I might have missed on more than I'd like to have missed on those. Johnny Newton out of Illinois, Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. He's a tough one for me. I worry about the arm length and that offensive change from Arizona to the NFL could be a little bit of a shock to the system to a certain extent. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Maybe you're worried about what your team's going to do in round 1 or beyond of the NFL draft. You shouldn't have to worry, though, about buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps, and their all-in prices show the cost up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without all the sometimes hidden fees. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. Find tickets in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They're also giving you $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Now, is your March Madness bracket officially busted? Mine is not busted. I do have UConn winning. Unfortunately, I will not be coming in first in the Chat Sports pool. Good chance I finish second, which is just a fancy way of saying first loser, which is unfortunate. But good year. I'm going to finish second or third or third probably in another bracket, which was always not fun. To not quite be good enough there. So is your March Madness bracket busted? Y for yes, N for no. Mike did not do one. Shelly's is busted. Happens to all of us. If you can win one every few years, you're probably in pretty good shape. Papachulo sits. How is your after 2023 first mock draft looking? Good question. Let me find it. I got to go way back. Those are always wild because they're just normally not the greatest, which is kind of the whole point of them to a certain extent. All right, so May 4th, I did one last year. Oh, wait, sorry, what am I doing? I need 2024 mock draft, not 2023 mock draft in the headline. Duh, Tom. All right, here we go. May 2nd. This is I did one last year. Caleb Williams, number 1. Marvin Harrison, 2 to the Cardinals. That one could be true, actually. That one might come to fruition. Olufashanu to the Colts at 3. Drake Maye to the Bucks at 4. I had done the team ordering on that stuff, so don't yell at me. Dallas Turner. Quinn Ewers, big L right there. He went back to school. JJ McCarthy, top 10. Brock Bowers, Joe Alt, Jared Verse, J.C. Latham, Jeremiah Trotter, big L. Did have Michael Penix, 13 to Seattle. That one actually still could come to fruition. Kool-Aid McKinstry. Then you got to get to the hope these guys take a step forward. JT Tuimaloau did not. Kellen King, Mason Smith, Emeka Ibuka went back to school. Malik Nabers was too low. Graham Barton at 21 to the Dolphins. Legitimately might come true. Chop Robinson to the Jags. Johnny Newton to the Bengals. Actually would be a lot of fun. Kingsley Suamataia to the Niners. Roma Dunze was in there, and I had him in round 1, but that one was far too low. Cooper DeJean. I didn't have anyone else to watch out for. So, not terrible, but, everything changes as things move forward there. Here's today's, that's why it's called the way too early edition, and how you're banking on prospects to emerge, and then half of them don't end up doing that. Here's today's Super Chat menu. $5. Not get rid of the 10 on there. It's just 2 for 1. There's no $10 price tag there. $5 is the Team Gear raffle entry. Couple entries already. It's the final day we're doing this. So we will run that raffle today. And because it is the final day, it's 2 for 1. So $5 gets you 2 entries into it for the final day, where it's either the NFL draft hat, or if they have some options for the t-shirt hat combo pack, that's also a viable option there. So 2 for 1 on the raffle ticket entry. The final day we'll do that. It's only a handful of entries, so chances to do more of that. The beer bong, by the way, is $20 still. So, smaller audience. Appreciate every super chat that comes in. A little bit discounted prices from that perspective. So, final day to do that for the Team Gear raffle entry. Then we will get it started. Later at the end of today's show, we will run that. Now, name a player who you think ends up getting traded this offseason. A lot of routes you guys can go. Any player you think ends up getting dealt. We'll give some, I've got to think about it a little bit, so we'll give you guys some time to think that one through and go through it beyond that. Any player you think ends up getting moved in the trade market, I see. Taylor, you are entered. I got you covered, Taylor. You were the first one, actually, to enter it, if I recall correctly. So, got you covered on that front. I see T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, another one from Ayuk, which certainly would be interesting. Let's see what else we got. Jonathan Taylor, no, they re-signed him, so I would not anticipate a move from that perspective. Deebo Samuel, that one I could see. I don't think the market was very good for him. T. Higgins and Zach Wilson. Matthew Judon, I think they're going to keep him, but it's not the most outlandish idea. I don't hate it necessarily either. They would love to move Allen Lazard. I don't know who wants him at this stage. So, other than the Deebo Samuel, right? And Tyler Boyd's a free agent, but he will sign with the team at some point. I'm sure of that one. Now, if you are excited about the 2024 NFL Draft, like I am, producer Chris is, and everyone at Chat Sports here is, we'll be live for it, by the way, then like today's video. We got 40 likes. Can we get to 69 likes? Can we get to the very immature number there? Get those likes up there, kind of rookie numbers right now. The goal was always 50%, so 69 puts us right about at that 50% ratio. Coming up on today's live edition of NFL Daily, some news and rumors we'll dive into. NFL mailbag for you as well. 2 ways to get on the show. Hashtag NFL or Super Chat. And an updated Mel Kiper Big Board for you. All that coming up here live on NFL Daily. I want to begin today's show with the latest buzz, rumors, theories, etc., propaganda even, on the quarterback class. Everyone expects Caleb Williams to go number 1 overall. That's been the expectation for a while. Who goes 2, who goes 3, and to which team is still very much up in the air. The NFL media scouts disagree. There's different reports that consistently contradict each other as well. Here are the latest odds, which are heavily tied into the various reports you see out there. Jayden Daniels minus 125. Drake Maye plus 150. JJ McCarthy skyrocketed after last week's report of he might go number 2 overall from Tom Pelissero. The general trend from post-regular season to now is maybe Drake Maye doesn't end up even being quarterback 1B or quarterback 2 has had been kind of the expectation going into it, which I find interesting. I'm a big fan of what Drake Maye offers. I get Justin Herbert's vibes there, where there are even some of the similarities of like, yeah, he just missed that throw. Not what you always want to see there. I don't think the supporting cast for Caleb Williams or for Drake Maye, frankly, were all that particularly good, but he's got the size, the mobility, the arm strength, the high-level plays are on film, even some of the kind of like you see from current Trevor Lawrence, where like he makes some of the tough throws look hard, but also has some, bozo gene qualities where you don't really want to have from that perspective. Tries to do a little bit too much there. There are things to like a lot about Drake Maye. I think sometimes he tends to drift to the pocket and create some of his own issues. Probably one of my biggest concerns there. So where would you put Drake Maye among the NFL quarterback prospects this year? 1 to whatever number. Rank him for me in the comment section right now. Because you don't actually ever have consensus, quote unquote, Jayden Daniels has plenty of fans in the NFL. The big difference for me between Maye and Daniels is when Maye gets out of the pocket, he looks to throw. When Daniels gets out of the pocket, he looks to run. There's a big difference there. Now, he makes enough plays with his legs that you're certainly okay dealing with that from the perspective. The downfield passing was very successful for Daniels. He has a strong arm. Doesn't like to go over the middle of the field. And that is a little bit of a red flag for me. There's even maybe even more Justin Fields to his game than Jayden Daniels, or than even a Lamar Jackson does. My comp there is Monstar version of Tyrod Taylor, which is a good thing, to be clear, because Monstar version of Taylor is top 15 NFL quarterback. The number 3 pick odds sit like this. It's Drake Maye, minus 125, Jayden Daniels, plus 125, and McCarthy, better odds to go 2 than 3, which I find really interesting. And for me, at least, the JJ McCarthy hype has gotten a little bit strong. We can go back and look at our way too early 2024 mock draft after last year's draft ended. We had McCarthy in the top 10. We knew there were going to be people that liked him, that coaches were going to rave about him overall. The numbers are not great. I think in the right system, he can absolutely have success, but this is not necessarily a top 5 quarterback prospect for me. In terms of like top 5 pick worthy. He's as we'll get into, behind Maye and Daniels. So of those 3 guys, pick a quarterback. DM for Drake Maye, JJ for JJ McCarthy, JD for Jayden Daniels. Pin comment, by the way, on today's video. So these are my quarterback rankings of the top 5. I've got Caleb Williams at number 1. Once I get around to stacking my board, will be like 3 or 4 overall. Drake Maye will be a couple spots behind him at quarterback 2. I do have a first-round grade on Jayden Daniels as well. He's quarterback 3. It's a later first-round grade, but it's still a first-round grade. I have a later second-round grade on JJ McCarthy. There's some boom and bust qualities there. I do think a Shanahan-McVay style offense would be very ideal for him. And then I've got an earlier third-round grade on Michael Penix. I forget who it was. Someone come to Sam Bradford. I go, oh, that's a good comp. As a pure pocket passer, I think Michael Penix is as good as anybody in this class. But there are other things that I worry about, which we will get into later on in today's show. But first, this video is made possible by Game Time. I don't plan things in advance these days. I buy my tickets last minute because it comes down to, okay, can we get the wife's and I's schedule organized? Can we get the babysitter squared away? Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. It is the place to find last-minute seats. You can find exclusive flash deals, sponsored deals for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Concerts included. You can find some very cheap baseball tickets because some would argue that season is a little bit too long. Keep an eye out for the zone deals. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings in the process. So download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets, and the $20 off is just one of them. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets at the lowest price, all guaranteed. I want to talk trade rumors here. Marshon Lattimore from Bleacher Report and other outlets out there are pushing the trade idea of like the Saints are rebuilding or whatever, and they can save money, and Marshon Lattimore can help a contender, which I agree with that last part for sure. Lattimore might not be in the same, top 3, top 5, whatever quarterback conversation, has missed some time. He's still really good. That's still someone you trust, someone that doesn't allow a bunch of completions and yards, and teams still respect in terms of targeting versus not targeting. My issue here is this. I don't know why this continues to get pushed, because it doesn't help the Saints' salary cap spot. They have already adjusted the Marshon Lattimore contract again. So the first thing I was going to say, like, trade him for a big name. What does the contract actually look like? Here's what it is. The Saints have a $14.62 million cap hit for Marshon Lattimore this year. That's pretty good. That's not that much for a number one corner. The new team would only owe $1.21 million. The dead money if the Saints traded him is $31 million. So you're doubling the cap hit this year to move on from him. So it was like third round pick is the trade value. I'm losing, $16 million-ish to get a third? No, that's bad. That's a bad investment. So instead, drop a different name who you think could end up being traded this offseason. Any player, any team, within reason, there's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. Drop that player name for me in the comments. I want to check in here on JK Dobbins. Now, this was going to be Dobbins and Chiefs specific, but moments before we went live on today's show, the Chiefs have re-signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So the running back room now looks like this. Isaiah Pacheco is back. CEH is back. And then it's Michael P. Ryan, Keontae Ingram, the rugby player they signed, Derek Prince. They're probably okay at running back. They could still add somebody. But Dobbins does still remain a free agent. So where does he end up going? Like, one game played in 2023. 8 games in 2022. When he has played very well. But he has missed a lot of time in recent years. The other team he took a notable visit to that we know of, Chargers, who also, by the way, got Ben Mason and is a fullback, as they put their backfield into the old Ravens backfield. Gus Edwards is there. You could just get the band back together again. It's Ravens West edition. They need help. I feel like they're going to take Blake Corum in the third. It just makes so much sense for all parties involved, I feel like. But, that's Gus Edwards, Isaiah Spiller, Jarrett Patterson, Elijah Dawson. They need running back help. They absolutely need running back help. So finding a way to make that happen does make sense. I think the medicals are a big concern for JK Dobbins. Figuring out where that sits is something they'll have to monitor. Now, we'll talk some more draft stuff here in just a moment. And with the NFL draft less than a week away, do not miss out. Hit that, or less than a month away. I don't know why I said week. Less than a month away. Hit that sub button for more free NFL and NFL draft YouTube videos. I did want to bury this part, not bury it. I want to mention this part at the back end of the video. The Michael Penix hype, which I like his prospect, continues to be pushed by several different NFL reporters. And in a draft process that is always hype season, silly season, propaganda season, this really does come off to me as one of the more blatant attempts of, look at what my client does. Did you guys see this viral tweet today of this is what Michael Penix's mirrors look like? With the caption of, this was sent to me by unnamed people of this is what his apartment looks like after he moved out. First off, a couple thoughts. A, it's clearly not moved out of. Right there. My guy has his medicine there. Like, there's still stuff out in the lobby. It's not moved out at all. Right? Look, by the way, let's capture this play designs, right? We'll keep this up here as we work through some of those L3s, Chris. I want to be clear. I do like Penix as a day 2 prospect. I think there are a lot of things to like about him. I think as a pure pocket passer, I am very intrigued. This is getting to be too much for me. Like, this is so transparently sent from the Penix camp, right? Like, come on, like, look how committed he is. Hype my guy. The same guy's hyping him over. Certain media members are pushing too hard. And when you're not a draft analyst and your job is the reporter, it bleeds into the propaganda area for me. This is clearly sent from Penix's camp, right? Like, you time it up with the report of, look how Penix interviewed great right as he goes onto the podium for the combine. By the way, These are not play designs. These are formations. There's no plays. It's different trips formations and shotgun formations. That's what that is. There are things that I really like about Michael Penix, the prospect. As I said earlier, as a pure pocket passer, I think he's up there with anybody in this year's class. But some of the stuff under pressure, some of the stuff when it's not clean, really does raise red flags for me. Not to mention the medical red flags, which, by the way, it always annoys me, happens every year. Hey, medical's passed, flying colors, the day he does his medical information. Like, teams have not looked at it yet. Like, they have not dug in. They're in the info gathering stage. Just kind of suspicious to me. Now, is your March Madness bracket busted? Y for yes, N for no. I will say, I think real chance Penix goes round 1. I think real chance he goes round 2 or later even. When it veers heavily into propaganda, I don't like it as much. Here's why your votes come in. Here is today's super chat menu. $5 Team Gear Raffle entry. This is the final day we accept entries. $5 super chat gets you in 2-for-1 prices. So we've got you covered on that front. Amy says, of course, when Grand Canyon won, her bracket got busted. I had that upset, actually. Not much else went my way, but, it's fine. $5 gets you in the Team Gear Raffle entry, either one of the draft hats or the T-shirt hat combo, if that ends up being available. Beer bong is $20. So final day to get your Team Gear Raffle entries in, then we will run at the end of today's show. Just 6 entries so far. So real chance to win if you put in that $5 here. Now, we will get to a mailbag momentarily. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1 is Super Chat. That we will get you on, we promise you. Beyond that, it's hashtag NFL. Hashtag NFL gets you in the queue for producer Chris to find your question and then eventually bring it up on screen. But you're at the mercy of producer Chris picking your question. Otherwise, you might not pick it. Also, do make sure to use the hashtag NFL part, because otherwise it does not come through. There's always a lot of questions, etc. We need that option. Otherwise, it will not pull from a graphical perspective. So get your questions in via the Super Chat feature or via hashtag NFL. Those are the ways to get on the show here. Saw a couple hashtag NFL ones come in earlier. I also saw some questions, by the way. You can just do full screen, Chris. It's fine if it's not there. Amy got it in there. Great job. So there are ways to ask questions, but you got to use the hashtag. Otherwise, it's not going to be found. So if you asked a question earlier and you did not have it as an option, you didn't have the hashtag NFL, it's not going to come through. Get your questions in right now for us here as we get set up for today's mailbag. Now, we will not get to all of your questions. There's not enough time on the video. If you have questions on the NFL, probably not life advice. I'm not exactly a role model. Then DM me. DMs are open at What Going Downing. First up from Lore, should the Niners sign Tyler Boyd because they are interested in him? I'm not opposed to it. I think bringing back Jawan Jennings kind of makes me think that they're in pretty good shape, all things considered. Cheap veteran deals for starting caliber players, sure. That doesn't, bother me at all necessarily, but I do think that they're in decent enough shape in terms of where they currently sit in the wide receiver room. Nick Powell, maybe the Giants sign Julian Blackmon. News here as we film today's live show. The Colts have re-signed Julian Blackmon. So cross him off your list if you had interest in him in the free agency market. He is not available. Richard Iacocco, Michigan fan number 1. What UFL player should the Bears sign? I will be honest, I am so deep into draft study, I'm not watching the UFL right now. I will revisit. I know the one kicker made that super long try. I think Luis Perez, as I said before, should still have interest as like a backup quarterback, as a third string quarterback in some capacity. But I don't have a great answer for you in terms of UFL because I haven't been watching it. From Aaron, will the Niners move Brandon Ayuk? I don't think they end up trading him. I have always believed that much like the Debo deal and other deals, the Bosa deal, they'll get that done before the start of the NFL season. They've budgeted for it. The receiver market's strong. Maybe they pay Ayuk and structure the deal in a way that one of Kittle or Debo's contracts are off the books by then. And that starts to make sense. Now, I know that teams will be calling about Brandon Ayuk because it would be weird if they won't. Or if they weren't, because it's a good football player. Teams want to acquire good football players. But I think the path is it's an A.J. Brown type of move. And I think the Niners thought it was a bad idea for Tennessee. So I think in the end, no, they don't trade him. What do you think ends up happening? Will the Niners trade Brandon Ayuk? It's the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there. Y for yes, N for no. From Cameron Briglin, well, I think the Bears will likely draft a wide receiver and safety in the first 2 rounds this year. I think that's possible. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you're right. Those are needs for them. I think that the draft should shape up decently to go receiver round 1, safety round 2. But I would always be hesitant to lock in positions even day of the draft, because weird stuff happens every single year. So you got to be, adjustable to what ends up happening. From Archangel, thoughts on the Falcons trading back, and if so, what team are willing to trade up to the number 8 with the Falcons? Number one thing is, what quarterbacks are on the board? Are the top 4 gone, or is there one still available? If so, it seemed like the Vikings, Raiders, Broncos could all jump up to number 8 to get that quarterback if they want one of those top 4 players. I don't think they trade up for the 5th guy, but crazy stuff happens. And then if the QBs are gone, who's left? Is the top defensive player still there? Is one of the receivers still there? If so, a team could try to jump to the Bears in that capacity. Adrian Rodriguez, why do you think Houston is making so much salary cap space? Oh, they've spent money, but the reason why you tend to see teams be aggressive when it comes to salary cap space when they don't have a big quarterback under contract is whatever they don't spend, they just roll over. So you'd rather kind of just create the cap space in the process and have it and need it, and then if you don't need it, it just rolls over. So I don't think they're plotting anything big because there kind of isn't anything big available at the moment. But I think you'll see Houston maybe explore some of the veteran markets, post-draft. But they're going to roll over a bunch of that salary cap space because they will eventually pay C.J. Stroud. By then, it could be 80 million a year, legitimately. It'll probably be at least 70 by that point. Now, today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. March is over, but the biggest moments in college basketball tip off in the month of April. Be a part of the action on Prize Picks for both men's and women's college basketball. Prize Picks has something for every sports fan: basketball, hockey, League of Legends, and everything else in between. You pick LeBron, Caitlin Clark, Connor McDavid, Jude Bellingham, all in the same entry if you so choose, or you can stick to one specific sport. It's more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Get them right and you win. I would always advise the flex play. It's a lower payout, but if you get one wrong, you're fine. Here's my NFL season-long Prize Picks entry. In general, for season-long stuff, injuries kind of factored into the player stat projection. So if they're healthy, Take the more than. Plus, life is too short to take the less than. I got more than Patrick Mahomes passing yards, Dak Prescott passing yards, CeeDee Lamb, more than touchdowns, and more than Micah Parsons sacks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, folks. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. A $5 super chat from KB82, a clearly Broncos fan. Thoughts on Byron Murphy II at 12 to Denver? I have no faith in these quarterbacks, at least not first-round faith. Understandable. I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm very curious what Denver does. They could just punt on a quarterback this year, by the way, and see what happens next year. I think Sean Payton has great job security, especially if the plan is to kind of rebuild a little bit, but does he want to do that? They're kind of in a weird spot. Dark horse contender, Brock Bowers? Give him his own version of Jimmy Graham as a playmaker over the middle? And that could be very intriguing. It's a good question, though, KB. I would not be mad at Byron Murphy. I like Johnny Newton more, but Murphy's a top 20-ish player for me, and he's probably the first interior guy taken along that defensive line. Roy Williams, it's sad that the Jones boys care more about tickets and jersey sales winning a Super Bowl. Make Tom Downey the GM. I completely agree with this mindset, Roy. Thank you. From Steven, CBS and the Bucs could trade Chris Godwin. Thoughts? No. The Bucs' entire plan was, let's win with Baker right now, right? NFC South's not very good. Let's run it back. Why would they trade away Chris Godwin? Oh, they paid Mike Evans. Well, yeah, they've paid both those guys multiple times. I saw the article you are mentioning there, Steven. I don't think it makes any sense. They're going to keep him. Now, maybe they lose him in free agency down the road, but he's not going to get traded. I'd be blown away. So name a player you think gets traded. Probably not Chris Godwin. Other player. Sound off with that player name in the comments. Luke Malloy, should Pittsburgh draft Amarius Mims or Jackson Powers Johnson? My answer there is either. I think you'd be pretty happy with it. I would say that center is maybe a bigger need. I don't know, Nate Herbig. Does that make you feel good about your center? You can and have survived with Dan Moore and Broderick Jones. Now, the medicals on Jackson Powers Johnson have got to be checked out. So with Mims, too. Both those guys have battled injuries, and Mims has missed so much time in college. JPJ has an alleged hip issue that I've heard about. So I think you got to check the medicals there. Both guys, though, would be good picks. Platinum Edition. Real possibility, Saints land Bowers or Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Yeah, I would not be surprised at all there. Trevor Penning has not been very good, unfortunately. Ryan Ramchek's got the injury. Tight end, you saw some flashes from some of your guys, but those guys would be BPA, and I think there's a good chance one of those two is there. In which case, those are good picks by these Saints. If you want more NFL news and rumors, you have come to the correct spot. Plus, like mailbags. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. From Amy, best quarterback prospect who can follow and be mentored by Aaron Rodgers. Thanks in advance. Spencer Rattler? Can you get him on day 3? I'm kind of thinking day 3 guys because the Jets have to spend their day 2 picks on helpful pieces. Some people like Michael Pratt. People like Jordan Travis. I've got Rattler over those guys. Someone will convince themselves they can fix Joe Milton. He's going to be a tight end in the NFL. He's just not accurate. It's never going to change. He's Tyree Jackson all over again. So maybe you can find one of those day 3 guys to try to develop and mentor. Antonio, you think Justin Jefferson go to a different team after this year with the Vikings? I don't think so. I think the Vikings, to be quite blunt, I think the Vikings would be stupid to not pay him. This is one of the best receivers in the NFL. He's made bad quarterbacks productive in Minnesota. Not Kirk Cousins, but other guys. You pay him. You get that deal done. Whatever the number looks like, 30, 32. I don't even care if it's 33. Just pay him. Just constantly backload it because he's going to be a 10-year player for you. Get that deal done. From Mike, or from Mark. I don't know why the hell I said Mike. Probably because there's Penix on there, I guess. Will a team trade in the back of round 1 for a QB to get the 5th-year option, like a Bo Nix or a Penix? Certainly possible. I will say, I categorize the trade back into round 1 for a QB is one of the bigger draft myths that's out there. 5th-year option's been around for a long time. The 5th-year option guys, Lamar Jackson several seasons ago, Paxton Lynch, Teddy Bridgewater, and that kind of is it. There aren't actually that many times it happens. It could happen. Tennessee did try to go get Will Levis at the back of round 1 last year. Ended up having to settle for day 2. But it doesn't happen all that frequently. So it's very possible, but if you're a team like the flip side is here, you typically know before the 5th-year option if that's going to be your guy or not. You saw with this class, right? They've all been moved on from already. You know, before the 5th-year option decision is even made, or this most recent 5th-year option class. So I tend to not buy that theory more often than not. So how many quarterbacks end up going in round 1? Go ahead and sound off for me in the comment section right now. Hungry Panda Studios. How well does Chop Robinson do as a day 1 starter? He's a tough one for me. You know, I think in terms of like scouts, they want to see the elite trait. There's no easier elite trait to see on defense than Chop Robinson's burst. He is off the ball with an incredible amount of force and speed. It is truly a sight to behold. I mean, you'll see guys like not even out of their stance, and he's pushing into the offensive lineman already. I don't love him as a run defender. And the biggest thing for me is you are such a freak athlete. How'd you have 4 sacks this season? Like, you should have been way more productive. So, kind of like a Dafe for me. There will be flashes. There will be moments of impressive plays. The consistency probably won't be there in year 1. From Cy Gray, I think Detroit trades up for an edge or corner, down for more draft capital on day 2, or stand pat and draft BPA. I'd probably bet they end up going BPA. That could be an edge or a corner still. Depending on what happens with Frank Ragnow, dark horse offensive line option. But I know there was some whispers of maybe retirement. I don't think that's going to be the case. But anyway, make note of it. Dark horse impact receiver. Big body on the outside could be a lot of fun for them. With Jameson as the speed guy, Amon-Ra as the slot, and big guy on the outside. Kind of sounds fun. I think stand pat BPA would be my guess right now for the Detroit Lions. This is today's Super Chat menu. I am going to add KB82 into the $5 raffle. 2 entries there, by the way, for the team gear giveaway. As I drop my pen that mailbag like an idiot, so excuse me. Either the NFL draft cap hat, we'll see, or maybe t-shirt hat combo, depends on what's available. Other stuff as well. Cuzzy says that Orlowski said the Falcons should draft Brock Bowers, by the way. I did not see that. If so, I don't know what the hell he's doing. It almost feels like a joke. Like, I hope it's a joke, but I don't know from that perspective. So, $20 for a beer bong, 2 for 1 on the team gear raffle, which is the end of today's show. Before we get to our next segment, I do want you guys to shout out your favorite NFL team. Who is it? Give some shout outs as these come through here. Falcons is in there from Archangel. That's right. Did Archangel change his profile picture? I think he did. Denver Broncos. That one certainly makes sense there, KB. Dolphins in there from Michael. Commanders from Neo. Amy's a Jets fan. What else we got in there? Detroit Lions. Platinum Edition says, obvious for me, the Saints. It's always a good sign. It's always easy to tell when the profile picture or the name involves something involving that team. Saints in there, Lions in there, Chicago Bears, Packers in there back-to-back. Keep the comments coming. Shout out your favorite NFL team in the comment section. This is not just for the draft sub-read. So, yeah, just going to the L3. Broncos, Steelers, Bucks are in there as well. So a good wide variety. Always a good thing from that perspective as far as I'm concerned. Good to have different fan bases in there. I see Saints and Cowboys coming in as well. On today's show, we will break down the latest Mel Kiper NFL Draft Big Board. Changes continue. I would even argue changes that maybe shouldn't be happening at this stage of the process for someone like Mel, but hey, take advantage of the time you have as new information becomes available. First up, no change here at number 1 overall. Caleb Williams out of USC is still Mel's top guy. That hasn't really changed at all and should go number 1 to the Bears in this year's class. A change at number 2. It's now Jayden Daniels, which I find interesting. Up a spot, by the way, for Daniels for, he did this post-combine too. Pro day changing his mind, I guess. I don't really know from that perspective. I like Daniels. Even ignoring the quarterback boost, I can't put him 2. Number 2 quarterback, sure. I don't even think he's the best player from his college team this year. More on that in a little bit. But where do you rank Jayden Daniels among quarterback prospects in this class? Is he 1? Is he 2? Is he 3? 4 or 5 even? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Number 3, down a spot is Marvin Harrison Jr. He's my number 1 guy. I'm not going to overthink it because he didn't do his pro day because he focused on being in game shape. I think that's actually probably a better thing long term. Skipped his podium session. Oh no, it doesn't really bother me. I don't think it bothers NFL teams. He said he skipped his pro day because team said, you don't need to worry about him. You're good. We have everything you need there. I do love, by the way, Malik Nabers. I have not stacked my board. I do know where he's going to be. He's going to be number 2 overall. I have Marvin Harrison over him still, and I know there are teams that think Nabers is even better, but I do love what he offers. Now, originally, Mel had Rome Odunze over Malik Nabers. That is now flipped. So, again, why are things changing? And that late in April, I'm not totally sure when you should have all your information, but it's fine. People change their mind. And frankly, Mel gets info from NFL teams as well. Odunze is probably going to be around a top 5 player for me as well. All 3 of those guys, Harrison, Nabers, and Rome, those guys could easily be the top receiver in almost any given class. They are that impressive. Brock Bowers, number 6. I doubt he goes top 6, but I am intrigued in terms of how far he falls. There really wasn't testing done. Might raise some red flags there. Was he not going to test well? Was he still a bit banged up? I don't know. Drake Maye stays there at number 7 overall. Now, I have Maye over Jayden Daniels. We're still talking about a top 10 graded quarterback, so at a certain point, a lot of these become flavors of ice cream in the sense of, are you a vanilla guy? Do you like chocolate chip? Are you a peanut butter chip guy? Black raspberry chip? It's all good. It's a matter of what do you prefer more. Number 8 is Joe Alt. Honestly, it feels low for me. Alt will crack my top 5. He took the step forward we wanted to. He still hasn't even played that much offensive line, by the way. He kind of didn't do it until late in his high school career, despite his dad being a first-round offensive tackle. He played other spots. Massive human who moves incredibly well. In general, the large human who moves well and played well, pretty standard and safe eval. Now, no wrong answer here. Who is your favorite 2024 NFL draft prospect? Drop that player name for me in the comment section right now. Troy Fautanu out of Washington is the number 9 player for Mel. Look, I will give Mel credit here. He has been high on him for a while. Bumped him back into his top 10, by the way. He plays, I think, tackle or guard is very impressive. I have a later first-round grade on him, but I'll give Mel credit. He was one of the first guys super high on him coming out of Washington. Finally, a defensive player. It's Dallas Turner at number 10 overall. The athletic ability is crazy impressive. Whether it's top 10, top 15, wouldn't be surprised if he was the first defensive player taken. Number 11, Brian Thomas Jr., by the way. And this is also why I think you have to asterisk, is Jayden Daniels top 10 when he had 2 top 12 receivers, plus a guy next year that's going to be really good too? The answer is still probably, he's still probably a top 10 player, but 2 gets me a bit anxious there. Thomas is the height, weight, speed freak, and those guys tend to go pretty early. JC Latham is kind of one of the wild cards between the top 15 of this year's actual draft. He's 12 overall for Mel. He didn't test at all. And it's not like he's a lock top 5 pick like Marvin Harrison is. So why didn't he test? Makes me wonder if he wasn't going to test that great. And is he a tackle or a guard in the NFL? Top 25 player for me too, but I have some concerns there. The concerns for Latu are kind of straightforward. Medical. Does the medical check out? Very talented, disruptive player, impactful, but he was medically retired by Washington. So does he stay healthy? Mel bumped him from 20 to 13 in his update. Maybe that means the medical came back good? I'm not sure. JJ McCarthy, number 14 overall here. The coaching staffs are going to love him. He's going to wow them with him. It's why Jim Harbaugh keeps having it every chance he gets, because the coaching staffs will love him. I see a lot of, give him a B grade in his game. Accuracy, mobility, arm strength, some processing stuff. But he wasn't asked to do a lot in the Michigan offense. Can he? I think so. But it's not as a clean eval. There's more projection there than some of the other top prospects this year. I have a second-round grade on McCarthy. I think this is quarterback inflation. I do think he'll go in the top half of round 1, by the way. So who will draft JJ McCarthy? Drop that player name, or the team name, I should say, in the comments section. Number 1 corner for Mel is Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. He had a really good year for the Rockets. I've seen a lot of good stuff. He has been a massive pre-draft winner as well. Olu Fashanu out of Penn State here, who was 18, now back to 16. The consensus boards, quote unquote, they've dropped him. I don't really know why. He's a great pass protector. Yeah, he could use some work as a run blocker, but he's 20. He turned 21 in December. He's super young with great athletic ability. He's going to be a top 15 player easy for me. Xavier Worthy's now 17. Now, he was 14 at one point after the massive combine boost, and I wonder if Mel will eventually kind of course correct there and push him further down. There are Hollywood vibes, or Hollywood Brown vibes there too. He's skinny though. Even if he plays like a 175, that's kind of an outlier size there that will raise concerns. But you literally cannot coach that speed at all. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. I wait till last minute for tickets. I've got hockey tickets coming up this week. I didn't buy them until the last second, the week of, because I don't have time to plan things out the way I maybe should. But Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets to the sports, music, comedy, theater events, and more near you. The Game Time guarantee, fantastic offer here. It means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. You can also see the view from your seat, and it's kind of like a live photo. Take your phone and kind of move it around, left, up, down, right, etc., and you'll actually have a good feel for what your seat is, as opposed to, just the map version of it, So download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply, but again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. The link gametime.co. And the promo code, ChatSports, will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Number 18, Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State. I think he could be a top 10 pick. I have him over Latham myself. Number 19, Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, who has been a bit higher at points on previous boards for Mel, but I think fringe top 20 is about where he's going to be on my board. Same with Jared Verse. Probably would have been about a top 20 pick had he turned pro last year. Was a little bit inconsistent for me this year. Really got going late in the year, but was also MIA a little bit too frequent. That's why he's not a top 10 player for me in this year's class. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. I just wonder if he can hold up in man. He played a ton of zone at Iowa, was pretty good at it. I think he's a little bit more of a straight line athlete than he is the fluid one, but he's a fantastic tackler as well. He should go in the first round. Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma at number 22 overall, I think does have the traits to go play on the left side of the offensive line, but he's raw. Yeah, I think he needs, no sacks allowed, but the run blocking, the technique stuff needs some development. I think he does go mid to late round one. Probably a little bit higher, Mel is, than me on him, but not, we're talking like maybe 10 spots, somewhere in that range. Nate Wiggins is number 23. He's skinny, but he's fast and he is smooth in coverage. And those two things tend to go pretty damn well for you. Byron Murphy out of Texas. I might be a touch higher on Murphy ranking-wise, but probably similar grades here. Not the biggest defensive tackle, but held up well against the run and was very disruptive. That is a good thing. And then a new entry for the first time, TJ Tampa suddenly jumps into Mel's top 25 out of Iowa State. Does that mean Mel heard something and said, you got to put TJ Tampa up higher? Sometimes Mel does this, and then he course corrects in his next update. So I am very curious where Tampa finishes on Mel's final big board. He played well at Iowa State. There are some issues, hamstring injuries coming back from there, but I think the size, the traits are all pretty impressive. But no one else has Tampa in his top 25. In their top 25, at least that I've seen. I'm sure somebody does. I'm curious how that all plays out going forward. So it's only 25 players. Guys got left off that board. Who did Mel Kiper leave off of his NFL draft big board? Drop that player name for me in the comment section right now. Some notable guys not on this list. A.D. Mitchell, you will have some teams who like him more than Xavier because he's bigger. Also super athletic. Amarius Mims, I will risk it all for him. I like him more than Guyton. He played better. Now, he's played fewer snaps, but he's less raw, more just inexperienced. Jackson Powers-Johnson, Mel doesn't like centers. He's never liked them. He never puts them high on his list. There are some medical concerns, though, for JPJ. I don't really know why Johnny Newton's fallen. He played great for Illinois and went from first-round pick to, forget about him. I don't really get it. It's very, very weird to me. Cloyd McKinstry might slide because of that Jones fracture in his foot, but did answer some pro day concerns with his 40-yard dash time, by the way. Here is today's Super Chat menu, the final and last call to get on the raffle. $5. We'll give you guys like a minute-ish while Chris gets it all set up here. $5 for the Team Gear raffle entry. It's 2 for 1, so $5 gets you 2 entries for either the T-shirt hat combo pack or maybe just one of the NFL draft hats this year. $20 for a beer bong and we'll give you entries for that as well. Last call. Give you guys some time. Pick a quarterback. DM for Drake Maye, JJ for JJ McCarthy, JD for Jayden Daniels. Updated poll numbers here. 48% say Daniels, 33% say Maye, and 19% say JJ McCarthy. I'm not surprised by those polls. I would go Maye, Daniels, McCarthy, but I figured with the Heisman Trophy and the dual threat craziness in a good way. Daniels offers that, I think, in doing these shows, he'd be number 2 on that list there. Cy Gray has a $2 super chat. I need 3 more from you. It's $5 there, Cy. Same with you, Poppy Chulo. We'll give you some time on that front, too, if you're still watching. $5 for the final entry into our team gear raffle. Appreciate that super chat, though, Cy. It's got the sticker coming through, which is always funny if you want to flash that up there real quick, Chris. Stickers, if you do not know, don't come through on our graphics package because it's an image/GIF emoji thing, which isn't, but it's not translatable. So it just gives the description of what the sticker is. So in this case, it's the Paracat character doing a Shaka sign with his hand saying, cool. All right, we will call that from the entry standpoint, and we'll do a dinosaur race here to determine who ends up winning the Team Gear Raffle entry on today's live show. So we've got Taylor, Chad, John, 2 entries for CJ. I like turtles, which I guess we could have done a turtle race. That kind of would have been kind of funny. And then the rid accusations really would have come through. And 2 for KB82. Getting going here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's race some dinosaurs here. You got Taylor as the Velociraptor, which I'm still going to call it that, even though it's not actually, but that's what everyone knows it as. I see Chad Jones is something. CJ's got a Triceratops in there. Let's see. It's not a T-Rex because it's got the claw there. I don't know if maybe the red ones are T-Rexes. Kind of looks like it a little bit. I'm not sure. Halfway through, Taylor has a narrow lead over Chad Jones as a... Is that the spitting venom dinosaur from the first Jurassic Park? I don't know. I can't tell what the arm length is. Oh, and CJ's got the other, I forget what that dinosaur's called. Spinosaurus, maybe, for Chad Jones? He's in the lead, by the way. 10 seconds to go. CJ's in second. KB82 is in third. 6 seconds, a late charge here from John Dorman. CJ DeYoung III wins! The Triceratops comes out on top. CJ DeYoung III. If you are watching, please email me, tom@chatsports.com. Otherwise, I'll find a way to hide it read as the Brontosaurus. Yes, it's definitely what it was. I couldn't tell if it had arms or not. It clearly does not, by the way. So CJ wins. Email me, tom@chatsports.com. If not, I'll get in contact with you through replies or something there, CJ. There is, of course, a load of NFL draft news and rumors and buzz, free agency, trades, more. So if you haven't already, make sure you guys are subscribed, and we'll be back live again on Thursday. Trace will be with the latest NFL coverage for you. Hit that sub button right now.